YouTube Ozic going the Goat House is back with my NFL Week 16 picks against the spread and score predictions. Do this video every single week for every single game. We've been outstanding against the spread this year, 131 wins on the year, so excited to show you my picks this week. We'll go through the scores and picks against the spread at the end here. Join us on Twitter for even more content. Links pinned in the comments for that, and our sponsors, Liquid IV, GLD Shop. We have weekly coverage here at the Goat House. You guys know that already. So Thursday Night Football, the Saints are +4 going into LA to play the Rams. I'll take the Rams to win this game and cover the spread. We'll recap my against spread picks at the end, but 24-17 is what I'm feeling. Rams are much better in their record. It's a little scary with this pick because the Saints played so well last week against the Giants, who were on fire. Derek Carr stepped up last week. Maybe they figured something out. Maybe it's just that, that motivation, that mentality, like, hey, we got to get going for the playoffs right here. So maybe the Saints figured something out. Maybe they can play a little bit better. But in LA on Thursday night, the Rams are effective through the air, on the ground, on defense as well. I just like them in this matchup at home. I definitely think they'll do some damage on the ground. The Saints got a good secondary. Obviously, they've been a little bit beat up during this year, but Stafford's been playing at such a high level recently that I think he'll do enough. And defensively, they're not going to be great. But they're not going to be bad. I think they'll hold the Saints to around 17, 20 points. So 24-17 Rams is what I got. Next game, Bengals and Steelers. Could be a little tricky because the Steelers did play Browning last time and they beat them. So they played the best against them out of anybody. So could it be the case again? It could be. Mason Rudolph is going to be in there. Obviously, I think he's better than Trubisky, but he can't be that much better given that they had Trubisky in. I do think he's got to be better, but this is going to be a good old-fashioned run fest. Or at least it should be, because both teams are struggling to stop the run on the year, but I was going to say recently, but that was because DJ Reader got knocked out. The Bengals actually stepped up against the Colts stopping a run, but now Reader's out, so they could struggle. And the Steelers' best bet, especially with the quarterback situation, is running the ball to Harris and Warren. And the Bengals have been very effective on the ground. Mix him in the rookie Chase Brown. So, man, the Steelers' run defense is really brutal against the Colts last week. Some worse running backs than that. They were down to Goodson and Sermon. I think the Bengals will be. I trust them more to be effective on the ground and for sure through the air. So I like them. 20-16, covering that too. They should cover that too. It's one of those AFC North battles in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's always tough at home in these AFC North battles. So first glance, I would like to put money on it, but because what's around, like this game, like what it is, like AFC North in Pittsburgh, I'm a little in the injuries of the Bengals. No Jamar Chase on top of Reader, so that maybe would scare me off a little bit, but I do like the Bengals 20-16. Bills and Chargers, a big spread, but I don't think it's big enough. I had 31-13. I'm like, man, the Bills should be able to score more points. They can take any approach, run the football, pass the football, do both, one or the other, and they can score a lot of points. So, and they're getting better and better right now. I just don't trust the Chargers to do enough. Will the Bills show all their guns in this game and kind of save some for the big games coming up and possibly the playoffs? I don't think they're worried about the playoffs right now. They're worried about making it, but they're just the next few games. So maybe they won't show everything, but I still think they'll score a lot of points. Even if they don't show like all their cards, Josh Allen's going to throw the ball. He'll probably scramble well. James Cook will run the ball well. So they'll score points this one again. 31-13, 34-13. I don't think 11. I usually don't personally bet on games that high of a spread, but man, that one is pretty appealing. 34-13 is what I got. Just not enough from the Chargers there, who kind of feel like giving up on the year the way they're trotting out there, but mainly how they're playing. But I guess maybe why it's at 11.5 and not 14, 15, 16 is because they just fired Brandon Staley, and maybe a little motivation. I just don't think they're good enough on paper without Justin Herbert. This is the tough. I could switch my pick on this one. It's one of those for me, so I apologize on that. They don't have a firm prediction on this one, but my gut is telling me the Falcons, and they are favored by 1. I thought I was picking the upset in this one, but they are favored by 1, and I have them winning by 1. So against the spread, I'll pick the team I have winning in a 1-point spread. That's how everyone should do it. But I want to see who's playing for both these teams. That's where I said I could switch my pick because Jonathan Taylor, actually today they didn't practice, but they had an estimated practice report, injury report, which is always interesting. And Jonathan Taylor, they marked down as full. I don't know about that. Yeah, is he going to play? We'll see. I guess Zach Moss is going to try to play. Michael Pittman had that brutal hit to the head and concussion. They had him as limited. So these are good signs that all these guys will play. I think they had an opportunity to, without actually putting guys out there, like to maybe throw off the Falcons. So I guess we got to wait and see. I don't know if these guys will play. And the Falcons are going to go Heineke. That's a good opportunity. I do think he's the better quarterback. That is tricky, though, because Ritter did throw the ball pretty well 2 weeks ago, and he's playing another. The Colts defense is decent. They get a good pass rush. They're not the best defense in the world. I think they would have been able to throw against them, but Heineke can do that same thing, kind of that game plan factor. Like, how do we game plan for this? It's not Ritter. Colts have been a little weaker against the run recently, but they do have Stewart back out there. But the Falcons should be able to run the ball well. I want them to give Cordero Patterson like a number one RB like load. They're not going to do it, but I think he'll have a good game though with the care. I think he'll get more. Bijan did not play well last week, so we'll see. I think any of those running backs, Algier included, could run well in this game. I think they're not going to throw all over the Colts, but I think they should be able to be somewhat effective. The Falcons' defense, they lost 2 in a row, but their defense is pretty damn good. It's been playing pretty well. I need to see if David Onyemata is playing. I want to see if some of the offensive linemen are playing for the Falcons. So it goes both ways with these injuries here. So it's a little tricky. I think it's a similar matchup for the Colts, like for their offense going against the defense, is the Bengals game. So that's kind of what I worry about a little bit. But they most certainly do not have the Bengals offense, but they're pretty nasty on the ground though at the same time. And Atlanta is better at home, much better. So my gut was telling me Falcons. Heineke again could be the better quarterback. To make a firm prediction, I really need to see who's playing and who's not. This was kind of a gut pick as of now. It's kind of a big storyline this year. This week we don't really know who's playing, who's not, but that's a big one. So we'll keep you up to date in the comments in this video and on Twitter, like we did last week. But there could be a few games I update because of the injury. We'll see. Seahawks and Titans. I like the Seahawks. Good game against the Eagles this past week. I'm guessing Geno's going to play, but it really doesn't matter. Drew Lock looked pretty good. You can throw on the Titans. The Seahawks have those weapons. Titans' run defense is usually pretty solid. It's actually not as solid as it was the past couple years, but still is decent. But Kenneth Walker really got going in that Chiefs game. I think he'll be effective as well. And the Titans will be looking to run the football a lot. Probably going to be Tannehill here as well. That could make it a trap game, I guess, just throwing the opposing defense off. I like the Seahawks here, though. That line feels low, but it could be a trap because of the quarterback situation in Tennessee, the game plan situation. And I guess we don't know who's playing quarterback for Seattle. In a game like this, I don't know if it really makes that much of a difference. I don't really mean that they're going to win either, like they're for sure going to win either way. That's not what I meant by that, but it's a similar matchup for both. I think they'll, have an equal game plan of pass first round. But 24-17 Seattle in their playoff push, what I like here. Lions and Vikings. Shame on me for not picking the Vikings against the spread when it's 3.5. You have that extra 0.5 over a 3-point. And I say shame on me because it feels like every single Vikings game is 3 points or less. Like, so last week it was free. There was no way at 3.5 they were not going to cover that. They lost, but it was by 3. It was like the worst case scenario going on through that game as that game went on. I think the Lions cover this, though. It's tricky to predict because the Lions have been struggling recently, but they were much better last week. But are we going to get that Lions team? But when they've been struggling, Jared Goff's been struggling. The offense has been struggling. And they specifically have been struggling against defenses that kind of disguise coverage, specifically zone defense. And that's really what Brian Flores and the Vikings do. It's a zone defense, zone blitz defense that disguises a lot of things, and they're pretty damn good stopping the run. That's kind of what the Lions rely on. I don't want to say rely on, but that's kind of their bread and butter there to kind of get things rolling. Rely on's a little strong. They can win with the pass. So it actually kind of looks like, and it feels like almost anybody can score in the Lions recently for the most part. I know the Vikings have the weapons. I know it's on Nick Mullins, but they had production last week. They have the weapons to beat them up. Like I can see Justin Jefferson just beating them up. So if you talk about the X's and O's in the matchup, you actually almost want to go Vikings, but I just got a feeling I think the Vikings might be able to do a better job the next time around playing them, and that's actually away. I don't think home and away is going to matter in these situations here with these games, but just kind of a gut feeling. I like kind of going back to like the Vikings stopped the run very well. They're top 5 stopping a run. The Lions' run game's different. I think Gibbs specifically can give them some problems, especially catching the ball. I think St. Brown will give him some problems. So kind of going back to that, like the matchup says this, but and look at the Vikings been playing. The Bengals, who are pretty good, but yeah, obviously they're beat up like the Vikings. Vikings are very beat up too, so I don't want to take anything away from that. But they played the Raiders, and who put up a fight. The Bears been putting up a fight, but none of these teams are really the Lions. The Lions did struggle with the Bears, and I guess it's a similar defensive matchup. I think the Lions' offense plays better than expected. And the Vikings' red zone defense might be able to hold them some field goals, kind of my thinking there. But I'm going to go 26-20 Lions, but right now I have the Lions getting both those games, but I think one of them is going to be like insanely close, where it's like you're not going to know who's going to win until the very last second. That's usually a Vikings game. One of those I think is for sure bound to be like that. The other one might be kind of close like this. If somebody was going to dominate somebody, I think it'd be the Lions dominate the Vikings, but I'm just not really counting on that, but we'll see. Next game, Commanders-Jets, another one I probably wouldn't touch. I'm going to pick the Jets. We don't even know for sure who's playing quarterback for each team. I don't know if it really matters. Brissett looked pretty good when he came in. So I do think the Commanders are probably better with him. The Jets, Wilson still in practice. Simeon's going to be smarter, but Wilson probably makes more of the bigger plays if there's any. But I don't really, in a matchup like this, my reason for picking the Jets is there's going to be one good thing out there when these two teams take the field. One good thing, and that's the Jets defense. Of course, there's good players here and there, but one thing I can trust to do something is the Jets defense, and they're at home. So I think pretty much anybody can score. We'll see on the Commanders defense. I think Breece Hall could have a decent game. Garrett Wilson. Again, Brissett was slinging against the Rams defense to McLaurin, like finally getting McLaurin going. It's kind of what he wanted, and he's dangerous, as you can see. But Rams are kind of, playing like, we won this game. Jets defense is actually better than the Rams. Not that they're anywhere near as good as the Rams in general, but I'm going to go with the Jets. But since this is close to a 50-50, I'm surprised about the 3-point spread. It seems too much. Since it's close to a 50-50 game, I think it could be a 1 point. I thought about 2-point game. It's probably the maximum scoring I could see. I could see scores on defense as well. 3 seems like a little bit, even though I can see the Jets covering. But 17-16 Jets is what I'm going to go with here. Packers, Panthers, another one I would not touch against the spread. I think Vegas did a really good job with this line. I'm going to go with the Packers covering by 1 point is what I had, 23-17. I didn't realize it was that close. I plug in a score. I really try not to let the line affect it. It's like gives me the most accurate predictions. It's been working. So 23-17. It's tricky because when the Packers play well, it's because Jordan Love and their offense plays very, very well. Or their defense doesn't shit the bed completely like the Bucs game. But I thought the offense could have been better last week, to be honest. It wasn't bad, but the Panthers defense has been playing outstanding, especially the second half of the year. It's been great, especially the pass defense. So they actually could limit the Packers here. This could be like a similar game to the Giants game, perhaps. I do think the Packers run game, they'll kind of go back to that, like how they looked against the Chiefs. They pound the ball, out physical, and that open up the pass. I think we could see a little bit of that with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and that will be enough. But and the Panthers offense doesn't really have enough, but the Packers defense really struggled last week. I think Adam Thielen, he hasn't had like a huge game in a bit. He had a bunch of few games earlier. I'm looking for him in the mismatch department because the Packers let Chris Godwin tear him up, which he plays a lot in the slot. Adam Thielen plays more in the slot more than anybody. So I would look out for that as well. And you can move the ball on the Packers defense. How much can the Panthers really execute and score? It's really going to be on them. So I like the Packers run game, and I just don't like the Panthers offense based on this game. 23-17. I could see the Panthers winning 2 in a row. I really could, but I'm going to go with the Packers by 6. That's a tricky one when it comes to that spread. Browns and Texans, this is with C.J. Stroud not playing. Multiple reports saying it's looking like he's not going to play again. I think winning that last game made him go like, oh, okay, let's place a little safer maybe. Is that what their thinking was? I don't know. Maybe he just can't play. More likely that. I mean, if he could play, they'd play him. But I don't think they're as worried about it. The Browns struggle away because they're a defensive team, and their defense is not the same away versus home. But, again, they're playing Keenum, who got the job done last week, but the Browns do a pretty good job stopping the run. Defense is, it's not as good away, but it's still solid against that type of offense. I think Flacco can make that extra play that he needs to, and Njoku could have another solid game. -2.5 looks really good. That's with CJ Stroud being out, so I don't like it if CJ Stroud plays. I actually probably will pick the Texans if CJ Stroud plays. But -2.5 looks pretty good, 20-13. I just don't trust the Texans do enough against the stout defense without their star rookie quarterback. Next, I like this one a lot if Trevor Lawrence plays. So I'm actually counting on Trevor Lawrence playing with this. He did not practice. He was not even cited at practice today. That's not good. Peterson said he's progressing well, though. I don't think – usually it's like we'll take it day by day. He's in the concussion protocol. He's progressing well. And it was a surprise concussion on top of it. So I don't think it's one of those major ones that hold guys like C.J. Stroud got messed up, it felt like. So a little different. We didn't expect Lawrence to play on that bum ankle a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and he did. He wasn't great, but he did. So I'm expecting him to play, but I could switch the pick. If he does play, the Buccaneers can still win the game because they're playing pretty good football right now. Baker played very well last week. Like, you beat the Packers by running, but he threw all over them, and they have weapons. And how you beat the Jags, it's the opposite. You beat them by passing. They can stop the run at a very high level, but you could sure pass on the Jaguars. You could sure pass on them. And the Buccaneers have those weapons. Mike Evans can have a big day. So I can see them winning. If Trevor Lawrence plays, I'm going to go with the Jags. So everyone's going to get cold on the Jags because they're cold. This is where they bounce back, getting ready for the playoffs. I think the over-under in this, I thought about having a bigger score too. I think the over-under is too low. You can throw all over the Buccaneers defense. Like the Bucs pass defense looks downright atrocious at times. Like, guys out of place. They did enough last week. They were actually much better than expected, but they weren't that good last week. But they were actually much better than expected. But they weren't playing Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, and ETN could be dangerous too on the ground or through the air. So if Lawrence plays, I think they'll do enough. The more I'm talking, I think they can score more points because they kind of can get in that playoff mode as well. +1 makes me think. +1, like, Vegas doesn't know I think if Lawrence is playing or not, because if he was playing, I think they would be favored by 2.5 to 3.5, somewhere around there. If they knew he wasn't playing, I think they'd be underdogs by at least 4, but probably 6.5. So I was feeling the Packers against the Bucs last week too, and the Bucs proved me wrong. They looked really good. Baker, I was very impressed. So we'll see. I think the Jags are a different animal when they get in the playoff mode. It's reminding me of how they started the year. And then also they look like one of the better teams in football. They can get back on track here, but they're going to get some guys back as well. Tyson Campbell, Andre Sisco. You look at Campbell as the main one, so that's their best corner. Even though he technically hasn't been this year, he is their best corner. So that's huge as well. Next game, Cardinals, Bears. I'm going to go with the Bears in this one. They're playing better football recently. The Cardinals look pretty good against the Steelers, but the Steelers weren't playing the best football. In Chicago, going to be cold. Bears probably, I think Fields will run the ball effectively. A lot of running clock in this one. Bears defense has been playing really good. Their offense, again, I think Fields going to have a big plays on the ground, but then they'll probably shut down at times. It's kind of what they do. I'm going to go 23-20. I didn't really hesitate with picking the Bears. Doesn't mean I'm like super, super confident or I'm guaranteeing anything. But I knew I was going to go Bears. At the same time, I could see the Cardinals winning. So with the +4, I feel it being around 2 or 3 point win for Chicago. Bears do a good job stopping the run, but I think the key here would be to run Kyler Murray, like design runs for him, and that can mix it up for them. It's a little different style to stop, so that could be the key there. But I'm going to take Chicago, who's been playing better, at least defensively recently. Cowboys, Dolphins, another. This is so tricky to pick. I'm going to take the Cowboys, and I'm actually going to go with less scoring than maybe you would think. I could see it being a shootout. I can see it both teams scoring in the 30s. I can see it. But my gut is telling me less scoring than what is expected. 24-20 is what I got. Cowboys are underdogs. This is tricky for multiple reasons. The Cowboys, people will question them playing against good teams, but they question the Dolphins a little bit more playing against good teams, rightfully so. But the Cowboys, where they get questioned, rightfully so, is playing away. They are not good away. They're 3-4 away. Now they got to go to Miami. I guess the positive here is going to be pretty good weather probably. So not Buffalo, not cold. So that's pretty solid. They're used to being indoor at home. So maybe that's what it is with when there's like conditions, like even earlier in the year, a little bit windy, even though it's a little, not cold out in some places, but still, they're not that good away. Another thing siding with the Dolphins. Dolphins are a very good team, but another thing siding with them, and the Cowboys run so much man coverage. They're good at it, but they run so much man coverage, and the Dolphins beat up. They pray, like, run man coverage on us. I dare you to run man coverage on us. Usually, that type of thing, that's where I go with picks. I go with, like, X's and O's, things like that. I really do. So it's a little odd maybe for me. It's a little bit different for me to not pick the Dolphins. I think the Cowboys bounce back. The Dolphins, I think they can beat a good team. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say they just can't do it. Like, they can't. They won't. But they haven't done it yet, and it hasn't been too pretty. They averaged 17 points against the above 500 teams they played. Now, they only played three. They only played three of them: Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, and remember in Philadelphia, and then the Chiefs game was that was the Germany game. Yes, so they're home against the Cowboys, so that helps as well. But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys here. It seems like to beat the Cowboys, you just pound the ball and out physical them. Mostert can run the ball, Achane can run the ball, but that's just not in their DNA. They want to come out there and pass the ball, especially when they know, when they're watching on film, they're seeing the Cowboys line up in man coverage. They're going to want to throw the ball. Just can they put up the big points against the good teams is kind of the question. They're going to have to show me first, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys 24-20. Could argue either side here, but that was kind of what I was feeling here. Patriots, Broncos. I like the Broncos on Sunday Night Football on this one, 6.5. That looks pretty decent spread. Patriots, how they play defense, they take the run away, that they could make it close by default. They can make it close. I'm really not counting on them to win, but it could be a 13-16 game just because of the Patriots defense. But I think the Broncos will do enough. I think Sutton could have another solid game, just too big of a body for some of these Patriots corners. I think they'll do enough. But what I look at the Broncos defense. The Broncos defense, when they win football games, when they play good football, their defense creates turnovers. And they don't do it every week, but they're pretty damn good at doing it. And they're playing the Patriots in Denver, Sunday Night Football. They're wearing those whiteouts, or those retros, with the new white helmets. I think they're going to take the ball away. So what I'm pretty sure they're going to do. So they could score on defense. They can set them. I don't expect their offense to do a whole lot. I think, again, Sutton can have a big game, but then the defense going to set them up to get some good points. I thought about 24-26 for the Broncos here, but 23-13, covering that spread, winning by 10 on Sunday Night Football. An absolute must-win for the Denver Broncos here as they try to make the playoffs, and they very well could. On to the Christmas games. A tricky one. Again, a lot of tricky ones this week against the spread. I originally saw this. I'm like, Chiefs home on Christmas. This is where they click in, they get going. I'm going to have them covering, but I'm like sitting here thinking like, it's too many points. It's too many points. And the Raiders got a good break, fresh off playing some good ball. They got a lot of motivation, a lot of energy. They have weapons. Aiden O'Connell's playing better. They play teams tough. They're not going to beat everybody. They play teams tough. So 10 seems like a little bit, but I can see it. I can see the Chiefs winning by 13. And another thought process behind the Chiefs covering and the Chiefs winning, but I have them winning either way. I think they're the better team. They're going to click into playoff mode. They're at home on Christmas. They're just better, So I have them winning, but it could be they're just, even against the Patriots, like they didn't look that great. They pulled away, but so they can have those moments in this game. But my argument I got for the Chiefs just beating their ass is the last time they played, the Raiders played pretty much as good as you can play throughout most of this game. They started off really hot. They're up 2 scores. Josh Jacobs ran better than expected, extremely well, even though we know he can run. O'Connell played a pretty good game. I guess he didn't close it out, but he played a pretty good game. Their weapons caught the ball very well. They started so well, and they lost by 14. They lost by 14, 31-17. So the Chiefs covered 10 then when things were going the Raiders' way. That's my scare. That's my scare with my prediction here. Why I wouldn't touch it, but Raiders play teams tough. Chiefs aren't playing that great recently. Remember, they played the Broncos, and they dominate them more than the score showed. And a couple weeks later, they play Denver again, and they lose. They look awful. I know, in Denver, and Mahomes is sick, so I guess there was some factors there, but hard to beat a team twice. I think they'll do it. I think it's going to be, I'll predict it to be closer to 10, but again, I can argue both sides. That's a tricky one. I would not put money on that. This one, big spread, I'm going to have the Eagles covering it. I think most people might predict the Giants to cover that. I'm going to go Eagles with a feeling they're playing bad right now. They're salty. They're going to be home on Christmas. They're going to go out there and dominate this game. They're going to go out there and do it. The Giants have been playing good football recently. They've been playing good on defense. Last week, I thought they'd play better than that. They'd play better, but they've been playing better on offense in general recently, offense and defense. The defense is what's been standing out. So you may go 30 points to the Eagles. Yeah, it might be a little bold, but also take a look at who the Giants have been playing recently. They haven't really been playing any standout, like, big-time teams. I know the Eagles are struggling recently. It's still a big-time team, close to being a juggernaut, if you will. The last big team they played was the Cowboys. They got absolutely obliterated, the Giants. So something with those better teams. A lot of man coverage, good man coverage from the Giants, but that's what the Eagles want you to run with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and then mainly because Hurts can just take off easier when you're in man coverage. Get your back turned towards the quarterback, run downfield. There goes Hurts. They're going to be pissed off how that last one ended. They're going to score points in this one. I would hope, at least. Defensively, I don't trust the Eagles' defense, but I don't expect the Giants to do much. The Eagles' defense played a little bit better last game. They switched to Patricia last game. He's got to be better than Desai, and so far it looks like it. I don't know if we can judge off one game, but he's better than Desai. I'm going to just go ahead and say that he's got to be. But and it's like switching it up, changing it up, that causes a game plan factor. So his defense is going to look a lot better. It did against Seattle except for the end. It's going to look better now. Probably the rest of the year because look at their competition, but teams will kind of figure it out then. So I don't know if it's going to be like that forever, but I do think it'll be better in Desai's defense. So that'd be a reason why they can slow down the Giants here. So 30-16, a 14-point victory for the Eagles. So I'm I don't know if it's that bold, but bold having them score 30 and win by that much, but it's still 2 points away from that spread. So it is a big line. And then Christmas night, Ravens and 49ers. I'm going to go with the 49ers in this one. It's a 5-point spread. It's probably one I wouldn't touch because we have the top two teams in football. But I like the Niners. I thought 26-20 and 27-20. That's a lot of points against a pretty good defense. The Ravens they played good teams and they beat good teams because they are a very good team. They're a top team in the AFC. But they haven't seen the Niners, which Niners are the Niners. If you haven't played the Niners, then you haven't seen the Niners, I guess. And they beat some good teams. The last good team I thought they played, maybe the Lions, they beat them up pretty good. Lions kind of went south though. I think it started with that though, so give credit to the Ravens. My worry is the Ravens receivers. They've been a little disappointing recently. Flowers is a clutch play here and there. Will they be able to do enough offensively? Niners are a different animal right now. They're especially at home on Christmas night. The Ravens defense is good. I think McCaffrey's going to do some damage. I think Debo's going to do some damage. I think Ayuk will get separation. It's not going to be crazy. They're not going to go crazy. I think the Ravens can stop them some field goals, and the Niners will get in the territory maybe easier than you think. But, Lamar could have a big game. I just don't know if the Ravens go do enough on offense. If this was in Baltimore, Christmas night, it'd be maybe a big I don't know what I would do. I would probably pick the Niners still, but it's going to be a 1 or 2 point game. I'm going to go with the Niners here, 26-20. The tough part is it's a different animal for Purdy to play against. It's the Ravens defense. It's a different animal. I don't know if they'll get as much pressure in this game as they normally do. The Ravens, this is just another test, which I don't really need to see them tested, but I know they're a really good team. It's more of I need to see them stay healthy the rest of the year in the playoffs. But this is a different type of test. The Niners are they're different right now, but they're due to let up at some point. So are the Ravens. So we'll see. That's where I'm at there with that one. Picks against the spread. We are 131-88 on the year. There's a site called Pick Watch that keeps track of all the experts. If you put me in there, I am up by a decent amount. And those are from all my picks in these videos. And I switched to last week, too, because quarterback injuries. So could have 133 right now, or 32 if I only switch one. The Rams, I like covering that against the Saints, -4. I like that one. I like it. Bengals -2. At first glance, it looks really good, but it's a little tricky. The Steelers are switching quarterbacks. They might be able to run all over the Bengals. I do think the Bengals will run all over the Steelers. But Jamar Chase out, Reader out in Pittsburgh, AFC North battle. So when you say it that way, it's like maybe stay away, but at first glance, it does look really good. The Bills, I think, cover that 11.5, but it's a lot, and Staley's gone. Falcons, Colts, don't touch it. Don't touch the game. I want to see who's playing. Gut feeling says Falcons. They're actually favored. So I have them winning by 1, but I'll pick them against the spread since I have them winning. Seattle minus 2.5. First glance, it looks really good. I have Seattle winning by 7. It does look good. Where it could be a trap is Tannehill's expected to play. And at any given time, Levis could be better than him, and he can be better than Levis, but he's ready to go, ready to prove something. Sounded like he was really pissed off when he didn't have the job anymore. And it's a tougher game plan, I would think, for Seattle, so it could be a trap. Wouldn't touch the Vikings-Lions game either because every Vikings game is 3 points or closer, and it could be, but gut's telling me the Lions win by 6. Commanders-Jets, a series of games I wouldn't touch here. 3 in a row with the Lions, the Commanders. It's going to be close, probably closer than 3. Packers, the Panthers could win. It could be a 3-point game. The Packers could also dominate them. It's a little tricky. I don't put money on those games. But those are my predictions. My predictions have been pretty good. Browns minus 2.5 I like. I like if C.J. Stroud is out. I do not like it if C.J. Stroud plays. I'm probably going to pick the Texans if C.J. Stroud plays. But multiple reports saying they're expecting him to be out. So 2.5 looks pretty good. Like I think worst case they win by a field goal against Case Keenum. Jags plus 1 only if Trevor Lawrence is playing. But boy, I like it if Trevor Lawrence is playing. They're going to click into playoff mode. Trevor Lawrence is going to throw all over the Bucs defense. And I think they'll win that game. So plus 1 looks pretty good if Lawrence is playing. He didn't practice, but he's progressing well. It's not like he's day-to-day. We're going to take it step by step, and he's in the protocol. We'll see what happens. He's progressing, so it's a pretty decent sign. Cardinals, Bears, probably another one I wouldn't touch, but my thinking was the Cardinals could win the game, even though I don't have them winning the game, so plus 4. Cowboys, Dolphins, probably another one I wouldn't touch. I'm going to trust the Cowboys in this one. They are getting 1.5. It's not much, though. I do like the Broncos minus 6.5, and their defense will create takeaways. Their offense will do enough. The Patriots' offense won't do enough. They should win the game by 10, at the very least 7, but that's cutting it close against Raiders, Chiefs. Another one I wouldn't touch. I think it's a lot of points. It's a lot of points because the Raiders played people tough. They played the Chiefs tough last time, though, and the Chiefs won by 14. That's where it's tricky. A lot of points for the Eagles. I got a feeling that's going to be an ass beating. Giants been playing better, but not against good teams. Eagles are pissed off. Niners, I think they cover that. I wish it was 4, actually, because I could see them winning by 4. I actually think they win by more than 3. I have them winning by 6, but home, Christmas. Ravens are good, though, so it's a little tricky. I probably wouldn't recommend. There's a lot I wouldn't write. It's a tough week. Playoffs on the line. It's a tough week. So, but there's some that I really like. We'll have our locks video where we'll have my locks and I'll rank them like we always do. But that is going to wrap it up for this one. Let me know your guys' thoughts, your picks. We're always talking with you guys on Twitter. Links for that, other social media, and our sponsors pinned in the comments. So check that out. Check out all of our videos. We have all kinds of NFL content. You will not be disappointed. Let's go do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.